This one. Let me know when you can see. Can everyone see my Brightspot screen? Okay, so I'm going to use the one that I'm working on now as an example. This Brightspot link came from the incoming board, but theoretically this is pulling from the individual publications content list, right, that we're talking about. If you're already signed into Brightspot, you can just hit the link and it will open up this. This one originated from the forum. I default to Inforum as the domain here, or what's the term that we use for it? Dashboard, home page, domain, whatever. But if you're already logged into Brightspot and you're working under a different site and you open up a Brightspot link that originates from Inform or a different one, you'll be prompted to switch to this one, but that's a minor thing. Okay, so once you have everything open at this point, it should all be edited and set up and published. So the main things to check here are the headline and the subhead. This author's section here is for web only. The author or the byline that we use will be under print options. I'll come back to that in a second. I don't think you're going to be expected to be doing like a full read, but it's good to kind of just scan the body copy for, red underlined things. There might be something that, is an actual typo or mistake. Sometimes there's like duplicated copy in here or a widget that doesn't belong. It's just kind of a good practice to give it a quick scan. And then what we're really going to focus on is on here under print options. Need to make sure it has a slug here. That's how we're going to find it in Roxen and on the digest. The print headline here is typically the same as the web headline, although sometimes it may differ. For print, you could abbreviate North Dakota and 5, or you may want to add a subhead. When I add subheads under print options, I typically put the whole thing under print headline and separate it by a slash. Yes, Michael.
Alicia, I've had some files when working with Roxen that have the subheads. So which field is populating in Roxen, like the main one or the print options? Meredith, if you know too, sorry, I just wasn't sure who to address that.
So the print headline goes into Roxen, and then whatever is like set as that intro, which is the main web options, it does look like that is coming over.
Okay.
But
that's a point that I forgot about.
19 times out of 20, that's much too long for us to be using.
Yeah.
But it is coming over.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to the subhead,
I'm sorry.
Head, you
if we mess with stuff here, does that go to the web, or are we like, that's what I'm worried about. So should we be editing these subheads in Roxen, or should we be editing them now and then hitting the push to print or publish in this case?
I would, unless there's a mistake or like an error in anything under this main tab, I would not make edits to it. And I would just focus on this page, the print options.
Okay.
Yeah, for the most part. Obviously, if there's a mistake or something's wrong or needs to be updated, then yes, you can change it and hit publish again. But for the most part, when you're thinking about what's going to transfer into Roxen, it's under this print options tab. This is also where you could add, I guess if it's all going to be done by the same person, it's not as necessary to include a design note, but if you need a reminder, for example, if it's a Robin Hubner story and this is one that they don't want to use a column sig with, this is where you could note that, even if it's just for yourself. Also, if there's an article footer, this is the tag field. This one doesn't have one, but if it did, it appears in two places. It would have the tag at the end of the body copy here in italics, and then it should also be here yeah. And clean up the bylines. Like, for example, this one is duplicated, so we can just delete byline 2. I wouldn't mess with, again, unless there's a blatant error, I wouldn't mess with photo captions in Brightspot, because this photo exists in Brightspot. It might exist elsewhere. It should have a date, but it doesn't. But if it has a date, it would be like the whole date. So I wouldn't mess with captions until you get into Roxen, and then you can edit them for print and change the date format and all that. So it's really just this tab that you should be focused on. Make sure there's slug, make sure there's a headline, if there's a footer, the appropriate byline. And that's when you can hit the Roxen button, which I don't remember. We just select the next date, Alicia, when we're sending to Roxen.
Select the date for the publication that you're working on.
Okay.
So if this is for tomorrow's publication, then yeah, you'd hit the 11th. If you're working ahead on something for Saturday, then you'd hit Saturday.
Okay. I think that's all you wanted me to go over, right? Unless there are additional questions. I don't know as much about the process from Roxen on, but Brightspot and all its quirks I can help with.
Yeah, that's really it. And then once we get into the Roxen side of things, that's a different meeting. But questions all of you have on this part of things?
Okay. Becca.
So when we come into this, then this will all be in there. We're just checking it all, right?
Yep.
Okay. We're not having to put it all in there, just making sure that it's all in the right. Okay.
Correct. Yep. And
So-
just that it's cleaned up and
Right.
That everything's where it needs to be. So yeah, it should all be packaged up nice and pretty. We're just kind of giving it a once over and making sure that all the parts are where they need to be.
Okay. Sounds good.
Mary?
Okay, I did that Steve Wagner's email to get to Brightspot on my dashboard. Okay, I'm going to take this off. I'm just going to show you what mine looks like. Can you see that?
Not really.
I can
Oh.
kind of see it. Yep. So what's the question?
Okay, now where do I go from here when this comes up? Where do I start?
So you don't
Okay.
have to do anything there. Just
Okay.
so now that you've logged in, it's logged in for you.
Okay,
And then when you're working on a publication from their budget, there'll be a Brightspot link that you click on that will bring up the correct article.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't have to do anything in that actual dashboard. You just had to make sure that you could get logged into that point.
So do I use this thing for anything, or do I use
Not
that?
at this point. Nope, not unless we later have you putting actual articles in. But for
Oh.
what we're going to have you
Oh.
doing, nope, you just needed to be able to log in so that the system recognized you as a person, so that when you're clicking on the links, It knows you have access.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Step 1.
Okay. Any questions that you all think of later, or like as you're actually going in and looking at this? You can go directly to Meredith, or let me know, and we will get you answers as quickly as possible. But this part of things is designed not to be complicated. It's essentially just checking that you don't see any major errors and that the information you need in print options is there, and then getting the right date set. So, all right. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.